Back to the Girly Girl Book Room. So today I have for you my favorite contemporary authors. I was going to make it a top 5 list, but I realized that's just too hard, so I didn't do it. All of these books are adult novels, so if you were interested in finding out some YA contemporary authors, they're not going to be here. So, because I feel like I've strayed away from YA, so I don't really have as many favorites there as I do for adults. So there's a couple people that I just kind of left off in general because I've been having, so Debbie McComber is one of my favorites. I just didn't grab one of her books because I didn't know which one to grab. And she's more I've read a continuation of a series from, so if I like the series, it's already a 10-book series, so it's not that I know that I love her variety. I might just love this town. I left off Nicholas Sparks because he can be kind of hit or miss with me. So I love him. I will read everything he writes, but he's not necessarily my favorite. And same thing with Nora. She's gotten to the point where I kind of have a love-hate relationship with her. So Nora Roberts is also not on this list, but kind of honorable mentions, I guess you can say. I'm going to start with a couple obvious ones, and then I'll have some ones that are not as obvious, and we'll just go from there. I try to pick ones that I definitely have read more than one book by, so I know that I truly love this author. So yeah. So you all know I love Ellen Hildebrand because she writes very nice books to read at the beach and in the summertime because all of her books take place in Nantucket. She's just one of those classic authors that I just have devoured all of her books. Some of them can be a little hit or miss. It depends on how old they are at this point, but I've read every single thing that she's written so far. So I'm loving her newest stuff a lot. So this was her newest book this summer. Her winter series that she's been coming out with, I've been loving. So definitely she's been more hits than misses lately. So love me some good Ellen Hildebrand. Y'all know this one, Diane Chamberlain. Again, she's another one who can have hits or misses depending on when you pick up her books because she has been writing for years. So sometimes they can be a little bit dated and sometimes they aren't as intriguing, but her newest ones are definitely super good. So definitely check out her newest books if you are trying to try her out. The Dream Daughter is fantastic. Her book that's coming out in January is also fantastic. Big Lies in a Small Town. So good. Definitely check her out. She writes kind of contemporary with deeper meaning and deeper value. They always leave you thinking and questioning things for sure. And another author who does that is Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love her books, except for Daisy Jones and the Six was kind of a big flop for me. I read that one before it came out and I ended up canceling my pre-order, but I've read everything else she's written and I've loved everything else she's written. Just did not love Daisy Jones and the Six, but she's definitely another one of those contemporary authors that makes you think. There's more than just a love story in her books, for sure. A newer favorite of mine, I've only read 2 books by her, but I could definitely tell based off of her writing style that she's definitely going to be somebody that I am going to really enjoy and really love reading from, and that is Sarah Morgan. I've read this book and The Christmas Sisters, and I don't plan on stopping. She just writes really great stories about family, about finding yourself. There's a little bit of romance in there, typically, and just for kind of chunky for kind of chunky contemporary, you don't notice it, which I always appreciate. This book was over 400 pages, and it never felt like a contemporary that was over 400 pages. So definitely love Sarah Morgan so far. Another author that I haven't really dabbled in too much, I've read 3 books by her, but she deserves to be on this list, I feel like, and that's Olivia Miles. This was One Week to the Wedding. This is the first book that I read by her, and I really enjoyed her writing style as well. She's definitely an author that I want to buy all of her books, but I feel like because I'm in the middle of a series right now, I want to finish that one before I pick up another set of her series, but I'm always definitely intrigued and tempted to buy the rest of her books. So she's definitely another one that you can definitely read and devour. I also have a love for Beth Kendrick. I bought this book on a random whim one day on Book Outlet because I was like, there's ice cream on it. Why would I not want that? And I have devoured this series. I've read another book by her that I love too, and I just feel like she's another author that I would read anything that she comes out with. Deals with grief very well. Like this one has to do with, like, this series revolves around a lot of breakups, and she handles it very well, and they're usually typically short and really, really enjoyable to get through. Another obvious answer is Leanne Moriarty. I did not love her newest book as much as her other ones, but I've read everything that she's published, and I really enjoy her as a writer. But I feel like this goes without much explanation because a lot of people love her as well. I love some Rachel Hawk. She is a historical fiction, Christian fiction writer, but I love her books because they tend to do this thing where you kind of follow perspective in the current timeline and usually a different timeline and how they end up interconnecting. So she is definitely somebody that I love because she does that so seamlessly and so well. And like the first book that I read by her was The Wedding Dress, and there was like 3 perspectives and she was still able to weave them together, and she's fantastic. I love her. So if you don't mind a little Christian fiction in your contemporary, she's definitely one that you need to check out. Then Jennifer Probst. She is a contemporary writer who kind of dabbles back and forth with like a lot of heavy romance, but not a lot of romance too, because I started her series with a Marriage to a Billionaire series, and that one was a little bit more steamy, and then as she's kind of gone, she's kind of tamed it a little bit, so she kind of can write really steamy scenes or not really steamy scenes. Her Marriage to a Billionaire series was a series that got me invested in her, and they were kind of like those guilty pleasure reads, like they weren't that great, but then I read her Searching for series, and I loved that series. That series just took it to the next step. And then I read her Billionaire Builders series, I want to say, and it kind of like, it was okay. And then I'm getting to the Stay series, and I have just the 3rd book left in the series, and it is fantastic. So she can be a little bit of hit or miss depending on what you're really looking for, but for the most part, she writes a really good romance with really great characters that you will definitely love. The companion novels make it so easy too, where you don't have to fully remember what happened in the one before it. And she just sucks you into loving these characters along with her. Another Christian fiction author that I am obsessed with, which I think you all know, my girl Denise Hunter. I'm obsessed with her. She writes Christian fiction as well, and I have just devoured her. I started reading her because of the Fiction Guild, and I do not regret it. I will read anything this woman writes, so definitely, if you don't mind some Christian fiction in your romance, you gotta check this one out. Another contemporary author that I love is Sarah Pekkanen. If you've ever noticed behind me, where is it? Which shelf? Oh yeah, she's like this whole like bottom section. I haven't read 2 of the books, but I think I've read like 7 of her books. Again, can be a little bit hit or miss. This is one of my favorite ones though. This is Things You Won't Say. I definitely enjoy her. And now that she's starting to kind of dabble in the thriller scene over with Greer Hendricks, I've definitely can say I've read my share of books by Sarah Pekkanen, and I really enjoy her. And last but not least, we've got Miss Candy Steiner, who is more on the erotic version of storytelling. She is a self-published romance author, and again, this is like her entire section. There's only 1 book in here that is not hers. I've read a majority of these. Her Palm South University series is amazing. This is another one of my favorites. She definitely just has a very gripping way of writing, and you will get sucked in, I promise. So yeah, those are some of my favorite contemporary authors. I know there was a lot, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys really soon. Bye, everybody.